Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond the Lane. My name is Mark and we are going to preview the upcoming home game against AFC Bournemouth on Saturday. Decent weather and home advantage, so hopefully we'll be looking at picking up all 3 points in this one. We are one of only 3 teams to still have a 100% win record, so hopefully we will be able to continue that march, which kind of goes to show how competitive the Premier League is so far this season and is actually going to looking to be across the whole course of the season, with us and only 2 other teams at that point. So let's get into it. Right, a few things about Bournemouth. Currently sitting at 9th place, although it's only 2 games gone in the season. Probably not something I expect. They'll probably finish a bit higher into the season. A very good team, well structured, some decent players there as well. So we'll probably see a bit of a game on Saturday. Their last 3 competitive games have been mixed results for them. Last one was a cup defeat 2-0 to Brentford in the Carabao Cup third round, so not a great outing for them there. Then the last Premier League game that they played was a 1-0 win against Wolves, with their opener of the season a 4-2 defeat to Liverpool. So a mixed bag for Bournemouth so far this season in terms of games competitively played, and the results have not been particularly great for them. So you kind of hope that they're not going to be on a bounce back against us. With us being at home, we'll hopefully not see that. Certainly if we look across the board in terms of head-to-heads with Spurs, the last 3 games are quite interesting as well. So the previous one was Spurs and Bournemouth 2-2. Then we had Bournemouth running out as the 1-0 winners at home, and we were the away team. And then the last one before that was a 3-1 win for Spurs at home. So it's a wee bit sketchy in terms of results. But if we have a look at those results were based on the fact that we did have Ange Postecoglou as the manager during those games, and us playing continuous attacking football and not really switching things up when the game started running against us. Something that we will not see very often with Thomas Frank at the helm, and he's already shown and indicated in the last 3 competitive matches that we played, starting out at the Super Cup against PSG, the opener against Burnley, and against Man City last weekend. So we are throwing out different formations depending on what players are available, who the opponents are, and what kind of formations and what kind of tactics they play. And not just that, we are switching up our tactics in the middle of games as and when the need arises as well. So it shows the flexibility and the adaptability of the team so far, especially when you have a look at that squad. It is pretty much exactly the same players that we had for the last couple of seasons under Postecoglou, where we just could not perform, or flexibility in terms of being able to shift positioning, tactics when things started going against us. We were still just continuously throwing caution to the wind, trying to outscore the opponent, which did not work, which resulted in our 17th place last year in the Premier League. So we're already showing ourselves to be a tactically minded team with the same players, although the addition of Polina and Kudus have enhanced that squad. And as of today, we've also signed Xavi Simons in time for the deadline, which would allow him to be part of the matchday squad against Bournemouth. Not 100% sure that we'll actually see him in the squad, considering he wouldn't have had a training session before then. He'll probably be brought into the stadium and announced. We're still waiting on the official presentation of the player by the club, but in all intents and purposes, everyone is reporting the deal is done, contract is signed, medical has been completed, and he is all in purpose a Tottenham player. But I don't think he will be in the squad for Saturday. I would like to see him on the bench. It would be very good and definitely enhance us. And in terms of the player himself, he's probably one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe if you're looking at it statistically. And as I said in a previous video I put out about his signing and Vuskovic going out on loan to Hamburg, as well as some of the other targets we're looking at currently. And it'll be linked in at the end of this video if you want to check it out. He provides a lot of options across the midfield as well. But we're not here to talk about transfers, we're here to talk about the game against Bournemouth. So the head-to-heads, as I say, is pretty much a third of the way through on each of them in terms of wins, losses and draws. So anything could happen on Saturday, but given the performance against PSG, Burnley and that masterclass display against Man City at the Etihad last weekend, then I am fully expecting a win for Spurs on Saturday. 3 points in the bag, and I'm even going to go as far out to say I expect a 3-0 victory. I think we'll keep another clean sheet as well. But we'll wait and see. But that's what my prediction for the game on Saturday is going to be. This is also, as I think I said at the start of it, the last Premiership game before international duty, and we'll see a number of players from the team heading off on that. A little bit of respite for those who are not called up, and a bit of time for Thomas Frank and others to prepare for what will be an exceptionally busy schedule coming in off the back of that international break, especially with the Champions League picking up as well. As the fourth round draw for the Carabao Cup being announced as well. We've got Doncaster Rovers, so there is a lot to look at and plan, and we're hitting that tail end off the transfer window, so hopefully we'll see another 1 or 2 signings coming in. And although I said we're talking about the match day, we're also being linked with having put in a £15 million bid to Manchester City for Akanji, 29. He's only just turned 30 actually in July there, so a very good centre half option. Nathan Ake would have been my preference. However, this guy is a very good player as well, and not quite as injury prone as Nathan Ake. So probably a wee slight upgrade, but I do like the way Nathan Ake plays. So I would take either of them. If we can get this one over the line, AC Milan are apparently in on the bid as well. So you would kind of hope that, given the option that we can present Premiership football and Champions League football, that the deal will be made for us. And it's only a slight move down the road from Manchester to London than it would be moving all the way out to Italy. But we will wait and see. Hopefully that develops and we'll get the here we go from Fabrizio Romano, as well as some of the other ITKs out there in the business. So in terms of formation, I think we'll see the return of the same formation we used very successfully against Burnley, and we're looking at a 4-2-3-1 for that one. So that's what I think we'll go with at the weekend. Very successful against some of the lower class opposition. And I certainly don't mean that as a disrespect to Bournemouth, but they're not as good a team as, say, PSG and Man City that we played at the weekend there. But I think that is the formation we'll see used most throughout the season. I think would work quite well and effectively. So we'll go a quick run through the players before we wrap up the video. Vicario starting in goals. 2 clean sheets. I can't see you getting dropped for Kinski at this moment in time. We'll maybe see some rotations when it comes to the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, but at the moment in the Premier League, Vicario is number 1. Playing in at the back there, we're going to look at Jed Spence. Left back, there's no displacing him, despite the fact Destiny and Dogie is back in training and has been training for the last week. He's not going to be starting a game just coming straight back from injury, and we wouldn't want a reoccurrence of that either. At right back, we'll be looking at Pedro Porro. Pedro, Mr. Consistency throughout the last season. He has done no wrong, and he will be starting in at that right back slot with Van de Ven and Romero captain, starting in at the back with Danzo and Gray on the bench. And then into the midfield, given the performance last week against Man City, I cannot see a change at all there. We'll be looking at Bentancur and Polina in there as the defensive options, with Sarr sitting further forward. Bergvall will be on the bench. Bergvall, however, you could see him maybe getting in just to give Sarr a bit of a rest. But given the fact that Sarr has played so well and we're coming into an international break, that I don't see a reason why we would look to rest. Moving on into the kind of supporting forward roles, we're looking at Brennan Johnson out on the left and Kudus on the right. Johnson I can't see being dropped for Odegaard or Tell, simply because 2 goals in 2 games is pretty much form, and an in-form forward player scoring goals is what you want. So why would you disrupt that? Maybe see Odegaard coming on a little bit later on to give a bit of respite there. But we'll wait and see how that one turns out. And then centre forward, despite Solanke being back and fit, Richarlison will continue to be the number 1 choice as the number 9 up front. Simply 2 goals in the first game, assist in the second one. You just can't drop him right now, and that would be my starting 11, as well as some of the options in terms of the substitutes bench. Xavi Simons potentially being added to the bench if everything goes through on the paperwork, which I'm seeing out there as being suggested it has been. but I don't think we'll see him at all, just simply because he will have signed and will not have had the opportunity to kind of acclimatise to the squad, at least have a singular training session there to be able to see how things are moving and going, and to give Thomas Frank and his coaching staff the ability to put across to him exactly what they'd be looking from in a game. But fingers crossed, you never know, he may make an appearance there in that squad, but I doubt it. Given all of that information, certainly as I've said, I think it'll be a tough game, but I think once we get a goal, I think we'll see the floodgates open up and we'll score another 2, maybe 3. But I'm going down for a 3-0 win. Another clean sheet on the trot for Vicario. Another couple of goals in the squad. I do quite fancy Johnson to get another one, maybe Richarlison in there with another as well. But we're looking exceptionally strong in terms of going forward. Xavi Simons being added into that mix makes it even stronger. If you look at within the next month or so, we're going to get Kulusevski back. Then that attacking midfield option is looking rather insane right now. If we manage to get another number 10 or a left winger in there, then in terms of the midfield, we will be absolutely sorted. And hopefully that will then backstop the 60 goal contributions we're missing from Son having left and Kulu and Madison being injured long term. Takai is slightly coming back into training, light training at the moment, but I don't think we'll see him anywhere near the squad for a number of weeks. As I say, and Dogie might make the bench now that he's had a week's training, but whether or not he's added simply because we want to risk him a reoccurrence of that injury, then he may or may not make that bench as well. If we play the same way we played against City, where we were fighting for every ball, we didn't make the first one, we were definitely getting the second ball. We were always beating them in the air, we were charging them down, we were pressing really high, we were right in on top of them. You've seen the look of fear every single time they were playing balls out from the back. Sarr was in there like a bulldog. You had Bentancur. Bentancur is the unsung hero over the last couple of games. That's my opinion. I know I've seen others say the same thing as well, but sitting watching him in that City game, people are watching João Paulinho, people are watching Sarr moving about, but actually the work Bentancur was doing in between all of that and allowing them to be able to do the jobs that they need to do, allowing Sarr to go forward and not have to keep rushing back because he was playing that kind of middle role in between the two. It was a phenomenal piece of work. I mean, Sarr was insane last weekend. Definitely my man of the match, despite Paulinho's insane performance. We could have had 5 or 6 players that you would have put in there. And to be honest, I was only surprised when I seen Troy Denny's team of the week on BBC only having 1-2 players in there when it probably could have been a cause for a few more. But that doesn't matter. That's my preview for the game at the weekend. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with the formation, the starting lineup? What's your thoughts in terms of what do you think the score is going to be? Who do you think the scores are going to be as well? And we can pick up on any of that stuff in the review video when we break down the match on Saturday and put it out there to see, well, actually, what went right? Did I get the predictions right? Was the squad right? Formations right? What was the scores, etc.? And we'll cover that off over the weekend once that game is finished as well. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on, as I say, comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the upcoming match. Even let us know what you think about Xavi as well as the Akanji potential signing as well from City. And subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Spurs.